investment. And then you have finance PhDs like Boyce Watkins, who he will sit up here and talk about breaking down and analyzing businesses, yet he's never sat down and broken down the numbers of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. See, this is how you start realizing that we don't have black media, we don't have black journalism, instead we have black propaganda.
This video right here is what happened to common sense, and it's explicit. I'm not going to change up the language or anything or mute the language, because I love his passion and what he's saying. And this connects directly with the John Morant incident, because it explains why Ja is acting like this, why his friends are acting like this, and why numerous multitudes or a plethora of black people are acting like this. It's because it is accepted that this is authentic black male behavior, and some of it just black behavior, and it's not. Dysfunction is not synonymous with black culture, but that's what people want you to think, especially if this negative behavior is associated with black males. So here is what happened to common sense, talking about how street people are able to easily defraud black people because even black people have accepted these negative stereotypes as being authentically black, which means you can trust the person being authentically black. All right, you could trust this street person because they are keeping it real, because that's why I'm calling it authentically black. You can trust them because they're authentic, they're original, they're keeping it real. So here we go. Check out this video. And again, it's explicit.
But see, this goes back to what Roderick Stanback was saying, where you have people who are posturing themselves as experts in different fields, and they don't know shit. And this is why so many of you are getting burned and getting hurt, because many of you don't want to take the time to really educate yourself and understand that, number one, you're not going to build wealth overnight. And number two, when we look at these individuals here, they are influencers. Notice that when they're speaking, they never go into monetary policy. They never talk about macroeconomic events. They never really get into deep details and numbers. They never talk to you about what's their exit strategies. They give you basic, low-level, introductory level financial literacy. And because you're illiterate to financial literacy, you think that that's game. And in most cases, they're teaching you fraud, whether it's tax fraud or tax evasion. They're teaching you wire fraud and bank fraud, and you're thinking that it's game because, see, you know, people get mad when I come here and I talk about the quote-unquote streets. No, what I'm saying to you is that the way you've been living your life for most of your life is fucked up. And now, because you've been living a bad life, you're clinging on to any little thing and you're thinking that it's positive. Because, see, somehow you were selling drugs, so you think that's bad, but committing bank fraud is positivity. And I'm here to tell you that both of them will get you locked up and send you to jail. And somehow I'm bad for trying to convince you that, hey, don't commit bank fraud. Or better yet, even if you're not committing fraud, they like to make you think that you're going to get funding.
What Happened to Common Sense does a great job of talking about how a lot of these grifters in the black community, or people that attempt to scam people or mislead people in the black community, rarely talk about macroeconomic issues. They want to stick with individual type situations because they don't want you to think that there are larger structures and forces at play that impact your personal finances. They want you to believe that you individually have failed and they have the individual answer, of course. So he does a great job of pointing this out.
When they are introducing themselves to you and they try to make investing like it's a hip-hop rap video, if it's like being on the block, walk away.
Right here, he's talking about those financial gurus, those financial experts that are going to use hip-hop to pull you in so that you let your guard down and they can easily mislead you. And also, he's about to talk about how people use the fact that they've been in the streets, or maybe it's not a fact, but they're gonna use the idea of the streets to prove to other black people that they are authentically black. Because a lot of people have accepted this idea that being ghetto, being from the projects, from the hood, makes you authentically black, and that you're not trying to mislead them. Why would you mislead them if you've been from the gutter, you got it out the mud, and that you used to sell drugs, so you know how hard it is for black people, so you would never mislead people if you're from the streets. You're authentically black. And he's going to talk about how, no, this is not good. You should not trust somebody simply because they say they love hip hop or they're from the streets or they used to sell drugs. Like, you shouldn't be handing over your money or your mind or your time to people like this. Make sure you properly vet these people, but he's going to talk about that now.
Investing is not a hip hop concert. You are not a rapper. You are an investor. If the company is named Maybach Construction, red flag, walk away. If you come to a person, and I want to play this, right? And they talk about how they used to sell crack, how they used to be in the streets, but then they start flipping real estate and flipping stocks, walk away. Let's listen to it.
Selling them. I looked up, I was 28 years old, making about $150,000, $200,000 a month. So straight flipping houses. So it was no reason for me to be in the streets no more. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get that kind of return on my money. You know, I was able to go home and snore at night now. You know what I mean? Once I saw it work, I spent my whole first check just buying houses, and I was selling them. I looked up, I was 28 years old, making about $150,000, $200,000 a month. So straight flipping houses. So it was no reason for me to be in the streets no more. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get that kind of return on my money. You know, I was able to go home and snore at night now. You know what I mean?
So understand. Now, again, just follow and connect the dots. Okay. He's basically alleging from here that he used to be in the streets. Well, we have a person right here named Young Malcolm. Young Malcolm is a 3-time felon. Selling dope off the iPhone, trapping from the South, flipping birds, selling keys, you heard? We got King J, Young Malcolm. Don't they both just sound so similar? And now look, they got the goddamn whiteboard. Red flag number 30,000. If you see a motherfucker writing on a whiteboard, walk away. Because if we come here, look what big business is doing. Big business, let's take this here. If we zoom in, wow, we got a whiteboard. So, quote in the streets, hip hop culture, red flag. Naming a company like Maybach Music, Maybach Construction, red flag. A whiteboard, red flag. And you know, what's amazing to me, what just boggles my motherfucking mind, is here I am. I structure investments. Some of them make 9 to 14% per year, great investments. Some may be a little bit more risky, but make you 40%. And people go, oh, now that crypto stuff is it's too complicated. But if a motherfucker come to you and say, you know what, man, I've been selling crack since I was 13. I have no education. I'm gonna go take you and go buy some property over here. You go take my motherfucking money and let's go.
My mom, you know, she did coke. She sold coke. You know, she hustled. And so I just grew up around a bunch of drug dealers, drug addicts, and gangsters. And that's like what I knew. That was like, you know, so outside of basketball, when I started having more issues at home, because my pops and I were beefing, and, you know, he had his issues in the streets. At 15, 16, I was like, yo, I'm out of here. Like, I'm about to go find it out, figure my way.
Okay, and at that point, you started selling drugs?
Yeah, 15 years old, started selling drugs. Actually started selling drugs in high school. Started off with a little bit of weed. One of my older cousins, he had some coke. So I started trying some coke packs. $1 million, right?
Jay is about to turn into a certified public accountant and give his celebrity friends possibly the worst advice I've ever heard.
Right, you brought in $1 million in revenue and income. Mm-hmm. Uncle Sam's gonna want 30%.
Right.
So on that $1 million of revenue, you're gonna have to pay $300,000 in taxes.
Guys using corny tactics to gain the attention of an attractive woman isn't anything new, but Jay teaching Carrie Hilson how to commit tax fraud is certainly one of the worst.
And so one thing we like to do is not only buy properties to generate more revenue, but we want to use these assets to reduce our taxable income, so we pay Uncle Sam less.
I need to warn everyone, Jay is an absolute clown and following his advice will get you in tax trouble.
So
I realized I need to stop trying to be smart and articulate, and I need to change my story to I went to jail and I was a drug dealer, and now crypto saved me. Because that seems like if I do that, motherfuckers will give you millions of dollars. If you try to do the right thing, you know, I got spreadsheets and PowerPoints, and I got all these computers and nodes and, you know, servers, and I'm trying to do things right. And all he gotta do is just draw some scribble shit on a whiteboard and talk about Goon music and Maybach construction, and you give him millions of dollars. Millions. It is the most asinine, and I'm sorry for my language, but this type of stuff, it's just like, it's insulting to someone like me that's putting in that work. And you got people like this, well, all I gotta do is say, I sold drugs, I went to jail, I'm a felon, I'm keeping it real, you heard? And you're gonna whip that credit card out, you're gonna cash out your 401k and give them $100,000. And then to make matters worse, after you get burned, you would think, right, that because you relate to the streets, that y'all would take it to the streets. Y'all don't do that. Y'all don't even want to come out and speak. The least you can do, if you feel a person has defrauded you, is at least report them to the authorities. At least get your Denzel Washington on, like I said in my story. Have him playing basketball in Pelican Bay. Put him in a shoot program. 23-hour lockdown. There's absolutely no way that you are going to let a person treat you this way, take your money, talk to you this way, and you don't even want to get them locked up? Oh, well, I ain't no snitch. You're a goddamn fool. You are an absolute fool. He will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get through with him. You heard?
If we don't have people like what happened to Common Sense and Pocket Watching with JT, then people will keep defrauding other people. And what I found interesting too was how he brought in the no snitching. Because again, if you're from the streets, you can't snitch. So that means more black people are going to be incentivized to defraud you, to take money from you, to harm you, because you're not going to do anything about it, because the code of the streets is not to snitch. You know what I'm saying? So these men do a great job. And we need more people like that speaking up, because it is not authentically black to do dysfunctional, bad, horrendous, terrible, asinine things. That's not synonymous with blackness. That's not who I am. It's not who my parents raised me to be. And it's not who the majority of black parents raise their kids to be.